Now we turn to the story everybody is talking about, the finger in the Wendy's chili.
Weed Whoppers, Burger King. In 2006, New Mexico police officers Mark Landavazo and Henry Gabaldon were on duty when they decided to stop for a bite at a local Burger King.
He told us how he and a fellow officer went to this Burger King in Los Lunas and got Whoppers that had secretly been filled with pot.
After eating about half of their Whoppers, they noticed something unusual. The meat had been laced with marijuana. The cops used a field test kit to confirm their suspicions, then went to the hospital.
There was a lot of marijuana on the hamburgers.
The employees responsible were arrested and charged with aggravated battery on an officer, though they got off with just probation.
Both will serve no prison time, only probation.
The officers later filed a lawsuit against Burger King alleging personal injury and negligence. Privacy breach, Wendy's. Using your fingerprint to clock in and out of work seems like a no-brainer. Employees don't have to worry about losing a badge or remembering a PIN number, and management can be sure no one is cheating the system. But when a company collects biometric data like fingerprints, it has to follow privacy laws.
It basically says you can collect iris scans, fingerprints, voice prints, facial geometry scans, but you have to get written consent to do so.
Illinois has particularly strict laws around collecting this type of personal information, and Wendy's found that out the hard way. Employees who had worked for the company between 2013 and 2023 filed the class action lawsuit alleging that Illinois-based Wendy's locations had violated the law. The employers had failed to get written consent to collect their prints, among other oversights.
Are businesses in Illinois still violating this law?
Every day.
Wendy's settled the suit in 2024 for over $18 million. Wage theft, Five Guys. Companies mistreating employees is nothing new, but in 2023, Five Guys was forced to pay for it.
Well, each year, employers steal billions of dollars from their employees by working them off the clock or by not paying the overtime that they deserve.
Simply put, it's called wage theft, and it may be affecting your paycheck.
More than 2,000 employees sued the chain back in 2017 for failing to provide them with legally required breaks and forcing them to work off the clock. The lawsuit went on for years because Five Guys kept proposing settlements and judges kept rejecting them for being too low. Considering how expensive their burgers are, it's not surprising that they're stingy with their money. Finally, the fifth settlement offer was accepted, which gave about $900 in compensation to each affected employee. By the way, did you know that wage theft is the most common type of theft in the U.S. by far?
Often what we see with people who come to us with wage theft cases is, I feel like my employer did this because they were confident they could get away with it.
11-inch footlong, Subway. You probably remember the super successful $5 footlong campaign, but maybe it should have been called the $5 not-quite-a-footlong.
The famous Subway $5 footlong. America's made it their own. Many of your favorite regular footlongs continue to be just $5 each.
After an Australian teen posted a photo to Facebook showing that his footlong was only 11 inches, lawyers raced to cash in. Local news stations had a field day visiting Subways and measuring the sandwiches on air.
We were cheated.
It's got 11.
Yes,
Here,
it
wait,
is. A little over 11.
Subway ultimately settled the class action lawsuit, but a judge overruled the settlement and threw out the case. The ruling said that Subway hadn't intentionally deceived its customers. Most of its footlongs really were a footlong, and they all contained the same weight of bread and toppings. Worst of all, the money from the settlement would have gone almost entirely to the lawyers, making the suit totally frivolous.
A Subway spokesperson says footlong is really just a trademark name and not intended as a guarantee of size. Nonetheless, the company says it will work extra hard to make all footlongs actually a foot long.
Racial discrimination, Starbucks. You probably heard about the 2018 incident in which two black men were arrested at a Philadelphia Starbucks for doing nothing.
Protesters calling for justice today after the arrests of two black men at this Philadelphia Starbucks on Thursday.
But you might not have heard about the white regional manager, Shannon Phillips, who was fired afterward. The arrests turned into a major scandal for the coffee chain, which immediately went into damage control mode.
The next year, Starbucks was in hot water again, hit with a lawsuit from the regional manager who oversaw that store and approximately 100 other locations. Shannon Phillips, who is white, claims she was fired after the incident because of her race.
Starbucks higher-ups ordered Phillips to place a white district manager on leave, supposedly for discriminatory behavior. That manager had nothing to do with the arrests, nor did Phillips. She believed the manager was innocent and that white employees were being scapegoated for the incident. She refused the order and was fired. Phillips sued Starbucks for discrimination and won more than $25 million in damages.
In a statement, Phillips' lawyer said Starbucks was looking for a scapegoat and that Phillips will now be pushing for more back pay from Starbucks to be decided by the judge.
Sued by Colonel Sanders, KFC. Not many chains can say they were sued by their own founder. Harlan Sanders began selling fried chicken in 1934, and his first franchise opened in 1952.
He didn't start the company until he was 65, but it made him a millionaire.
In 1964, Sanders sold Kentucky Fried Chicken to a pair of businessmen, but stayed on as the quality control officer and spokesman. In 1971, the men sold KFC to the Hublin Company, which started making changes to the recipes. Sanders, then in his 80s, was not happy. He opened a competing restaurant, prompting Hublin to sue him.
After selling his interest in KFC, Colonel Sanders opened the restaurant and named it after his wife.
Sanders countersued Hublin for $122 million for using his image to promote products he thought were terrible. The suits were settled, with Hublin paying Sanders $1 million and Sanders agreeing to change the name of his new restaurant. Mystery meat, Taco Bell. Most people don't expect fast food to be made with top quality ingredients. However, in 2011, a lawsuit alleged that Taco Bell's beef wasn't even actually beef.
The issue comes down to how much beef has to be in a taco before you can call it a beef taco.
The plaintiffs claimed that they tested the meat and found that it was only 35% beef, with the rest being fillers and binders. Taco Bell went on the offensive, spending millions on an aggressive ad campaign telling customers that the meat was actually 88% beef.
The lawsuit claimed that the meat filling used by Taco Bell was less than 35% beef. Taco Bell retaliated with ads saying, "Thank you for suing us."
The lawsuit was eventually dropped, but it wasn't the last time Taco Bell went to court over its meat. In 2023, a New York man sued the company for false advertising, saying that the pictures of the food showed twice as much beef as he actually got.
The false advertising suit, dubbed "Where's the Beef" by the folks on Twitter, alleges the chain, quote, materially overstates the amount of beef in its ads.
He dropped the suit 4 months later. E. coli outbreak, Jack in the Box. Between 1992 and 1993, a massive E. coli outbreak linked to Jack in the Box locations in 4 states sickened over 700 people and killed 4 children.
It was one of the worst food poisoning outbreaks in U.S. history.
The tragedy was so severe that it led to major changes in food safety laws. It also led to multiple lawsuits. Jack in the Box ultimately paid out over $65 million to the victims and their families. The restaurant's beef supplier, Foodmaker Inc., was also sued and settled with the families for an undisclosed amount.
The public was shocked by what ultimately we found out.
Despite improvements to food safety regulations, E. coli continues to plague the industry. In 2024, an outbreak tied to McDonald's onions made over 100 people sick and caused 1 death. It also resulted in multiple lawsuits against the chain and its supplier.
McDonald's says they've found the source of the onions linked to the deadly E. coli outbreak, naming Taylor Farms, a grower based in California.
Strange chili ingredient, Wendy's. Finding a hair in your food's gross, but imagine diving into your bowl of chili and discovering a finger. That's what supposedly happened to Ana Ayala at a Wendy's in 2005.
And suddenly I chew something that's kind of hard, crunchy, spit it out. At first I wasn't sure what it was.
Ayala attempted to sue the chain, but when you find a human body part in your food, you can't just hire a lawyer and collect a check.
In the statement, they say that the employee had more than 10 years of experience, that no employees had suffered a hand or finger injury, and that their suppliers, who are required by law to maintain written records of accidents, say there were no reports of hand or finger injuries.
Wendy's quickly determined that the finger didn't come from any of its employees or suppliers, and a police investigation found that it hadn't been cooked. It was later revealed that Ayala had bought the finger from a friend who lost it in an accident and put it in the chili herself. She served 3 years in prison for fraud and was banned from Wendy's for life.
Police arrested Ana Ayala at her home in Las Vegas and put her into jail without bail for grand theft and attempted grand theft.
Hot coffee, McDonald's. This lawsuit became infamous, but it wasn't as frivolous as the media led people to believe.
As the story spread, the details faded until just about all anyone remembers was a woman was driving down the road with a cup of McDonald's coffee, spilled some in her lap, and got paid millions of dollars. The problem is just about all of those simple facts are wrong.
In 1992, 79-year-old Stella Liebeck spilled McDonald's coffee into her lap while sitting in her car. The drink was so hot that it caused third-degree burns, and Liebeck had to undergo skin grafts. At first, she just asked the company to cover her medical bills, but McDonald's refused.
They came back with an offer of what was at that point $10,000 in medical. They came back with an offer of $800. And we were just appalled.
When she took them to court, a jury awarded her almost $3 million, which a judge reduced to $640,000. Amazingly, this wasn't the only time McDonald's had to pay out for causing a severe burn. In 2023, a jury awarded $800,000 to the family of a 4-year-old girl who received a second-degree burn from a McNugget.
The jury deliberated for 2 hours before ruling in favor of the family, saying that McDonald's failed to properly warn people about possible danger.
Which of these lawsuits did you think was the most shocking? Let us know in the comments below.
2 residents of Alameda County in California have filed suit against Subway, alleging the chain doesn't use real tuna in its tuna sandwiches.